Hello and welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboys fear to tread. How are we doing again today?
he says again, because I don't think we've ever done it in 119, 20 shows. We forgot to press record. Anyway, so where were we before we
I
found out
think
that we
we're at
didn't?
Marquez.
Oh yeah,
Marquez in the GP23.
yeah. So Marquez and the GP23. So Ducati announced during the week that it removed the flywheel for the Japanese Grand Prix, which a lot of riders were not happy with at all. Marco Bezzecchi, who was one that has benefited the most. Dici Antonio was like, well, I might as well go for my surgery now. Do you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah,
that much of a step back in performance. And Marco's like, I don't really care. Now, saying that, he does really fucking care, right? And it's just a throwaway comment, right? Because he went on then to say, well, the bike that I have now is nowhere near as good as the bike I have in Mentalique. And he's like, oh, but we only can do what we can only do, right? And you're like, well, I was like, well, sir, you're kind of part of the fucking problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, you lighten the thing. You do need to adapt your way to the bike. Now, I know he's had from Assen to thing, but the reason Ducati took that thing away was whatever way or style that Mark was riding the bike, it led to that engine failure with the flywheel.
yeah.
So they put the fucking older, heavier one back on. And just to,
They're running a very light flywheel to begin with. I can't imagine. The thing must have been like a feather.
it actually looks, it's not a circle. Do you know what I mean? If you could imagine, it looks like a figure eight, actually, the flywheel. It is actually really, really interesting to have a look. And for people that are going, oh, but sure, the flywheel's attached inside the engine casing. No, it's not. It's outside. It's external to the engine casing,
External, so they can touch it. Yeah, so they can screw it
so
in.
they can change and adapt the flywheel. Um, so it's actually not inside the engine casing, which they cannot split. Um, Now my friend in Spain, Axel, who's a massive Marc Marquez fan, was pushing back, and he was like, oh, Mark was doing really well with it. And I was like, yeah, but Mark was the only rider to blow up a fucking engine with it. You know what I mean? So the problem is not with the other three riders, it's with that one rider that was over revving it, which led to the blow up. And Ducati were very quick to, like, that happened on Sunday, and on Wednesday night they were fucking they were taking the things off the bike, right? So they were very quick. They knew immediately what happened. Do you know what I mean? So um I think it is a big thing, but I think the more so the other thing around it is that Ducati were true to their word in the way that they were developing the GP23 to help it against the GP24.
Mhm.
So anyone that is turning around and the excuse of, oh,
And they
he's
gave
on
Martin the same thing. They gave Martin the same parts as they did
Pecco,
Pecca,
yeah,
which is surprising.
but that's kind of a technical. Well, yeah, they're not giving Pecco the parts either, the fresh parts. So, but like, kind of one of the things I was going to say is that the excuse of it's a Spec A 2023 has been incorrect since Assen, right? Because it's not. They have been developing. They've been giving more and more. And this is one of the comments that I said, like, that after the summer, that bike has been completely different. It's changed, and you can see it by Bezzecchi's results have started to come on. You're now going to see Bezzecchi fall back down, right? Because the heavier flywheel is affecting the push in the corner, going into the corner. So the bike wants to, how would I say, kind of understeer more so and be pushed on. So you know, I wouldn't expect much out of Bezzecchi for the rest of the season. Dici Antonio, again, Mark, he will do good on the races that he does well. But one of the things I have noticed about this week, especially this week, it's an incredibly slow news week when you see the likes of Crash reporting stuff that TNT riders are saying. It is just, like, there's not a lot out there, and there's not. I suppose, like, the biggest thing for me this week was Bartoloni,
Yeah.
and it was really, really,
Oh, and Aprilia did hire him first. So I hired the technical director for Aprilia first before KTM had let him that hired their.
Yeah, but this guy is going to Yamaha. Yeah, like Max Bartoloni is in Yamaha already. He was Gigi's right-hand man in Ducati for vehicle dynamics and performance. But it was brilliant in the interview that he said, speaking like directly about the V4, and it was something that we touched on last week. Like the engine freeze is now in place for the European manufacturers from the start of 2025, right?
Yeah.
But like Yamaha and Honda, obviously because of the concessions, Yamaha will probably be running a V4 midway through the season with Jack or Oliveira or whatnot. And what I really, really liked about what Bartoloni was talking about was, first, he was like, the project that we've gone into, we're the only ones with an inline four. We have no reference data for suspension, aero, anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And, it does make logical sense. But he said, we have to back-to-back test both bikes. Do you know what I mean? We have to back-to-back and see. And he said that Marmoni was saying that there is more that he can do in the inline four. But again, there is that thing that they're in a stage now of they have to try the V, right? Because right now they don't know necessarily what configuration, even for 2026.
Yeah.
Or 27, isn't it 27?
27.
What is the better? Yeah, what is the better configuration?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because they're taking all the horsepower out of the engine. That will, will work now.
Yeah, exactly. So like with the smaller bikes, less aero, an inline four. So is the engine packaging so critical now? Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on there, and his wording was very, very specific, and in the wording that he said is like, they have to now look at each element when designing the whole bike as one unit.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks to me and feels to me is that they're going away from the Japanese mantra of, let's build the chassis and the engine, get it to work with tires, and then we'll add on the aero. Now they're looking at engine, chassis, tires, suspension, aero, the whole lot. So it's a really, really, I have a lot more confidence in the next 2 years than I had fucking 3 weeks ago with going like, what in the name of God are they doing? You know?
You always knew though that they were already on the track of going with European engineers before this. They had their head way before Honda did.
Well, they had a European base, but I think they got into. I think they swallowed their pride a little bit faster than Honda did. That's where I really think of it, and it's like you have, and I think they were a little bit smarter than Honda. You have.
Well, they always were a little better with engineering,
Yeah, but you have Gigi's right-hand man that could turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they convinced him to go in and turn it, right? And they gave him. I don't think it's the money, right? And I watched a lot of like these guys, Adrian Newey and Osmere thing, right? And while they're not interested in the money, they're interested really in control of the project. Do you know what I mean?
No, because in Italy, those engineers are like rock stars. In Japan, they want to be the rock star. They want to be.
They do, but we're like, so look, I'll put it to you this way: if your man Bartoloni went to Ducati and said, "I have an offer of $500,000 from Yamaha a year, or $1 million from Yamaha a year, or whatever, can you match it?" Gigi would not like. That's probably the best savings that he would do in the year, is to not let the person who is his right-hand man go.
Did you see Did you see, not to break it, but did you see the kid in the stands who put up the sign and said, "I want to be a Ducati Corsi mechanic when I grow up"?
No,
No, you didn't? Oh,
no.
yeah, little Japanese kid. "I want to be a Ducati Corsi mechanic when I grow up." And all the announcers showed him, and that has to be in Japan. I mean, that had to be a real kick in the gotchas.
It did, but look, like look, we
But
saw there's a
what else it shows is marketing. If I
Hmm.
was Liberty, I'd say, you know what, these people in general like exotic things. They like Ducati, they like they don't like Formula One. Formula One really doesn't want to see a Dodge up there. It doesn't have that zing. Do you get my drift?
I do and I don't, because look, I do get you that, like, but 2 years time there's going to be Ford. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to
Yeah.
be Red Bull, Ford. They'll welcome in any manufacturer as long as that manufacturer is very serious about doing it, right? But saying that, there was a very good quote um I heard the other day about Formula One, actually, and they were like, Formula One is like a Shark Tank, or a so they're like, whatchamacallit, piranhas and all of this, and your man turned around and he said, yeah, but he said, dolphins can kill sharks.
Yep. They do. They had natural
Do you know
enemies.
what I mean? And he's like, but he said, dolphin, like a shark just comes in and brutally kills a dolphin, bites their fucking head off or whatever. He said a dolphin could be 10 or 15 dolphins all attack that shark at once. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, so it's like, it's strategic, they communicate. So he's like, dolphins can survive around sharks. Do you know what I mean? And it was just the way it was like, just because it's a Shark Tank doesn't mean people that are going to be strategic. And so,
Just for your FYI,
mm,
one dolphin will kill one shark. They're natural enemies, and a dolphin
oh,
will.
I know what you mean, but the point was that
I know. The point
they're
was, I didn't
they're
know if you knew that. That's all.
they're more, a
It's
dolphin will,
amazing though. They know
will
where the shark's liver is, and they'll come by and split it with their nose.
so do the great whites, isn't it?
Yeah, they ram
Or
right
not,
in.
not the great whites, the whales.
Yeah,
The orcas. Anyway, yeah, I've seen a few of those, but it was just a good thing. Like, but with your man leaving Ducati to go to there, right? He could have stayed in Ducati and made 2 million a year, no problem, whatever. But he would never have control of the project. Never give direct. Now he's gone to Yamaha. He is most likely the head honcho right now. Do you know what I mean? Why? He's come from Ducati. He has all the insights into what fucking Gigi has in his mind till the end of this year. Do you know what I mean? He is worth his weight in gold. And like, even Marquez said it about
but in road racing world, they said they're having a problem with hierarchies in that problem already with them being chief cook and bottle washer. They said
who
no.
is
With Marmoni with the in Yamaha. They're saying that the Japanese executives are firing back and saying they want to make sure they're in control as a project.
well, I don't think they're in control anymore. The fact that they've abandoned the in or are looking to abandon the inline four, because that if that was the case, they would have abandoned the inline four 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So someone's head in the hierarchy is there, but I believe that it's gone into the way that it's now a MotoGP project. It's not a Japanese MotoGP project.
Right.
You have Bartoloni on the vehicle dynamics engineering side of it, and then you have Marmoni, or Marmoni's company, let's just say, for it
Yeah.
to be fair. You have him on the engine side of it. So look, that direction is going a complete different direction. When you look at what's going on at Honda, I don't know how many different
Yeah.
techs they have, but like, if you look at it,
And Yamaha's program will come in better and cheaper.
it's not about better and cheaper. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, it
Yamaha.
is. I mean, just as if you look at it from the outside, they're having more progress and at a cheaper rate. They're not really looking to save dimes, nickels, and dimes, but they're ends
But
up that, you know.
but yeah, yeah. I think it's just the approach has been very different. Now, saying that, right, I will be very honest, right. I am pretty thick with Yamaha myself this season. Like, look what has gone on with, like, they have your man, the two boys there, right?
My boy,
E-
Farnaro.
Every time, no, but every time they go and test, it rains or there's something happened. Their test rider gets injured. They're using people that they're bringing this person in and that person in and the other person. There's no consistency there. Do you know what I mean? They needed to be test riding every fucking 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? A day somewhere, bang, bang, bang. Not happening. Do you know what I mean? So they're not getting enough data at the racetracks. They're not getting enough this. Like, I was looking at an interview with Alex Rins, right? And when I did, Joe, when we used him as a comparison, and people were pushing back and saying, "Oh, his leg injury and his this, that, and the other," and he's like, "No, it's just whatever we're doing is not working." He's like, the last two or three, or the last Misano track, for instance, Fabio is like, what he said is like him in Kota. That's just a Fabio track. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
just, and like when you look at it, he was what 10, 12 seconds up the road from him in the main race. So like he is okay, he's half a tenth off or half a second off, but that's because he's just not gelling with the bike. And okay, we can knock the points on the head, but when you look at it every week, right? Let's just ask people to be fair and honest. When you're looking for Alex Rins in the standings at the end of a session, are you looking towards the top or are you looking towards the bottom of the list?
right.
And the answer is the bottom of the list, right? So, yes, they're making progress. I'm going to call it theoretical progress, right? Because I do think the V4 is probably on the ground somewhere already in Japan, rolling around on moldy tires and whatnot. You know what I mean?
We said
Uh,
this so long, they must think we're not Nostradamus.
Mystic Mac.
You know,
That's what I got. Yeah.
there's nothing that goes with Jake, so I don't know.
Jake the Snake Roberts. Anyway, but I just think with Yamaha, I would like them to see correlation of the data a lot more of what they're going to do. Next year, of course, they're going to have 4 riders, which is great. There's nothing about the test team, you know, and there is rumors. Oh, we're going to bring in 2 senior ex MotoGP riders, and you're like, there's no point bringing in fucking Dovizioso, right? Who couldn't get on with the Yamaha when he
Yeah,
last rode it. Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely no point bringing that in. So look, we know what's his name, Gusto Fernandez is going over there, and someone else. So I would expect midsummer next year. I would think it's going to be the Pramac boys who'll do the V4. Unless Fabio is having a real stinker and the season has already gone halfway through the season, then he'll do it. But it will be it will be a massive risk as they have no data. So it will be interesting as well though for them. The other thing, I don't know, I was actually laughing when I saw it. The What's the name of them? Liberty Media. They're changing the logo of MotoGP at the end of the season. The new
really.
logo, yeah.
There you go, detective.
And it's actually funny. It's like because like I remember when they came in and they bought Formula One, they left the logo there for the first season, and then they decided to change it. And their kind of thing for changing it was like, oh, there's a lot of negative space in the logo itself, so we're going to change that. So I just thought it was very funny when I saw it. I was like, this is kind of history repeating itself. Do you know what I mean? Now they want to update the logo. They have, this major design company working on it. and it is going to happen in Valencia. So,
I just pray that you said that they switch things over very fast. I'm praying that they look at the 27 bike and go, "It's a dud. What are you talking to me? What kind of crap is this? Switch it back."
yeah, yeah. It's look, whatever it is, there'll be racing. That's all I give a shit about. The rest of the time is just waiting around for something to happen.
No, what are we, Steve McQueen now?
It's like waiting to go to the pub. Brembo have bought or have agreed to buy Olin's.
Really?
405 million apparently.
Wow, that's cheap.
It is actually, it is fairly cheap. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Olin's will be sold. There is an agreement there to get it done. So Brembo and Olin's. Now it does kind of make sense, to be fair, that they would buy it. It is on the front end of a MotoGP bike for the most part. Is the front end is mainly one company now, except for KTM, who run the WP suspension. The other thing then this week is the Pecco. Pecco was quite frank about what's happening with the development of the GP24, that there is no further development on the GP24 going to come this season, which I kind of get. Do you know what I mean? But is it something? Is it right in the way of, okay, I suppose the other side of the coin, in 6 weeks, the championship is over, right? Nearly, right? So, we have next weekend, we will have the Australian Grand Prix. And then we have, that's the first of 3 weekends on the bounce. And then we have the break again. So, it's kind of, I suppose, a very, very weird one where, you could use that extra time on the track to develop that chassis, and then focus mainly in like next year, or sorry, the Valencia test this year and the first tests of next year are going to be super important for any manufacturer. Like if I was Aprilia right now, I'd be fucking shitting myself with this new engine freeze. Like, do you know what I mean? So I would, in my own head, I would be really focused on getting the chassis work done now. Do you know what I mean? And giving it to Pecco, you can only give it to Pecco because he's the only one that's fucking staying there. Do you know what I mean? The others are gone. Like, I more so think they're not giving it to Martin, not because Martin. It's because they're going to be giving next year's frame to a team that's going to leave them, so they could bring that data over. And before anyone goes on, I'm fully aware that there would be non-disclosure agreements and all of this, that, and the other, right? Of data from systems and all of this, right? But seeing and experience and seeing something, it becomes a natural reference point where people can refer off of, and you will never, ever, ever get out of someone's brain what's already in there. So if they see it or they know or the approach or whatever, that's a free thing. So I don't necessarily blame them for not wanting or.
And the closer they change something until he went to the time where he leaves, the more he's going to retain it. Because the biggest time when you switch over information like that is when the guy immediately switches over. You know what I mean? This got fed to him.
Yeah, and like I've always said this, that when Jack Miller signed up for
KTM
for KTM. That's when he was so valuable. And then he obviously got, as the more and more that he went out of that, like the first time he threw his leg over the bike, that's where the most valuable information was gained. After that, then he started losing favor, let's just call it.
Yeah.
And like it's the same with Martin. The first time he's with the Aprilia engineers and Bastianini with the KTM engineers, this is the way it's going to be. So I think it's kind of it's going to be interesting, let's just say, to put it that way. We talked about the engine freeze.
It'll make a difference with Enea.
Huh?
It won't make a difference with Enea because he doesn't. He is a self-proclaimed. I don't check on the bike. I just ride it.
Yeah, but he's able to tell them what that bike is doing in the corners, right? And I know that it sounds fucking stupid, but saying that to me, if you can reference what your bike is doing differently to a front running bike, you know, I think it's a pretty good thing. There's more talk about the radios as well, actually, quite recently. So Aleix Espargaro, who is a main driver of it, is like, yeah, it is, you know, really necessary, needed. And I kind of tend to agree with him on a certain aspect of it. I like the way that a radio from race control can say warning, yellow flag ahead, or red flag, or whatever.
As a safety device. Yeah.
I don't like the concept of the rider being able to talk back, or the team being able to give rider information at all, right? Pecco Bagnaia fucking hates the idea of it. He's like, I just want to be left alone. I'll take a fine every time I'm not fucking wearing the radio. Fuck off. Fabio Quartararo said, yeah, it works, and I get it. I've tried it a few times. You just can't hear them when you're on full power of the bike. The noise of the engine and
That's a smart answer, isn't it?
So he's like,
what?
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's been a thing for years. You know, you need to swap position with the rider in front of you. Sorry, I'm going through a tunnel. or nothing. So, look, for me, when I get it, but I just think MotoGP need to be very, very sensible about it. And remember, there's a lot of things.
You know, which McCall's going to like that. The Formula One people are going to like that. That's going to be the sizzle with the steak, though. That's the.
It is, but That's
the soap opera thing.
That is, but look, we'll just wait and see it. Look, I think the riders are going to push back quite a lot on it, but we'll wait and see on it.
Now, are they going to be allowed to say somebody's 3 seconds behind you, 2 seconds behind you?
They will, yeah. They'll be able to count it down. They'll be able to tell them you're losing in sector 2 or 3. You know what I mean? They will be able, like they will be able to.
I know they were questioning that. I heard somebody questioning that.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, look, I think it's just a I think it's just one of those things that a brain fart really right now. Like when you look at the tire pressure debacle that was on with Pedro Acosta, right? Do you know what actually happened there? That there was a leak in between the tire and the wheel rim, right?
No, I know. I thought that the wheel rim the rim itself had a crack in it.
Yeah, there was a leak between the tire and the wheel rim. Is what they're now saying, right?
Oh, okay. Last I said, I didn't hear that. I heard it was a crack in the rim itself.
And the engineer turned around and was like, "Oh, it was no, we set the right pressures. We set the right pressure." Do you know how they proved it? Do you know the ice baths that they all had in Mandalika, where we saw Fabio Quattararo in a dumpster that was full of water cooling
Yeah.
down after they took the tire off the bike and put the tire into the fucking thing and showed the FIM. Look, see, it's not
Like,
holding its pressure.
like 1940, look, there's air bubbles.
Yeah, and it's just like rules that make the whole thing look fucking really, really stupid. And again, like
Check them before they start, and then that's it. They're done.
that's it, and that's it. And you don't have to check everyone. You check random that you have someone there that's fucking shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, the other part of it is
fine.
right, like the green paint, right?
Mhm.
Now, everyone on Saturday morning was like, "The fucking green paint, that's fucking stupid," right? Mark Marquez on his last lap touched the green paint and nearly lost his podium by 0.008 of a second because he got a half-second penalty, and he finished 0.586 of a second ahead of Enea Bastianini, and he lost half a second with a penalty because he touched the green. So, again, stupid fucking rules. Like, and it when you look at things that score own goals and you're like,
Yeah.
like, can you imagine if your man now lost his fucking podium on Saturday?
Yeah. Well, something that there was no way that he could see, or you know what I mean? That his back tire went over. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? Hang off the side of the bike and look down?
If he gained an advantage, fair enough. He didn't gain an advantage. Do you know what I mean? And again, I get a lot of flack for not thinking for about Mark. He didn't gain an advantage. Do you know what I mean? Like even with his lap as well on Saturday, right? The track record under it by miles. Do you know what I mean? And still, it's MotoGP scoring own goals in itself, where it doesn't need to score own goals, in my opinion. Excuse me. It's one of those days today.
No.
Yeah. Then I suppose one of the funny things that I suppose that is going to come up for next season and seasons in the future now is Formula One and MotoGP, and when they clash, normally it's MotoGP move their race time. Now the fact that they're both part of the same business, it would be interesting to see how they will coexist, because before they were rivals but got on with each other. Do you know what I mean? So it will be interesting to see how many races do clash, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This season. Because if people that don't know it, this weekend, well, obviously now they're watching this on Monday and today is Saturday, but the BSB is actually on. It was on today, and it's been wrapped up this week. And it's actually just funny because it's a Yamaha, a Honda, and a Ducati, I think, are all in for the championship.
Oh my God, I'm so far off. Is there a World Superbike on this weekend?
There was, yeah, there is, yeah. I don't know.
I remember them saying it was rainy. I forgot. Anyhow, I don't even watch rainy races.
Don't you? Oh well.
I hate rain.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. So
All I saw was whatchamacallit got on the podium. He was on the front. Ray finally got onto the front row for qualifying.
Did he?
I still can't believe how that he has floundered on the Yamaha.
Yeah, but I think it's not just Ray. Do you know what I mean? Like the bike, I think the bike has taken a step backwards because like there's no one even near it. Do you know what I mean? There's no one.
No one, yeah.
Do you know, and like you looked at the BMW results when Toprak was out. You're just like, look at the difference that he makes. So again, it goes back to the old Japanese situation of buying a superstar rider. Like if you put Toprak on that Honda, I think he'd do well.
No, I don't think that. I don't know. That thing seems to be destined for doom.
Would he be winning races? No. Would he be up in second or third position? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he may make a podium position.
Yeah, but how far away are they currently?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's kind of my point in it, is that Toprak I think would do well on a Honda, and that's the alien effect. But the bike is still not in great condition. And the Yamaha, the R1, even though that
biggest flop ever. It has came out. They changed the model. That was a great selling model in the RR, right? The best selling thing in Europe. To make a one-off racer because they were so embarrassed of the thing, right? The RR, and it has floundered and flopped and never.
It's never really taken off. Yeah.
You know, and then the street model, things overheating and blowing up and frying ECUs, and it is. They need to get their home fires going, fixed.
They do. Racing. They need to get. They need to get something done anyway, right? Because they're kind of falling out of it. But then saying that, in other series, that like I find it funny, right, that the Yamaha in the British series, Yamaha is doing well, Honda is doing well, and Ducati is doing well, but the BMWs can't seem to get up there. do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like 2 years ago, the BMWs were doing well, and then the other ones weren't. Right? It was just
So
it's BSD. That's like back ass work. I don't get it.
Yeah. So it is. So it is very interesting in my view. So look, I think we wait and see. The other thing is, I was really thinking during the week, and like we're 4 races to go before the end of the championship. And without actually thinking about it, who is the winner? For me, it's one of these things. I'm like, it's not that I can't predict the winner. Like if it turned around today and someone said pick a winner, I think Pecco, right? Right now, if I had to decide, and my view of it is,
you're saying
to win the title, and it's like he's the hunter, right? He's in the right position as the hunter to win the bike or to win the championship.
But he just doesn't seem to have that push that he had the 2 years before it.
But Pecco never does have that push, right? Pecco
he has in the last 2 years, but more than he had this year.
Pecco rarely likes he'll fight, but he doesn't like to fight. Do you know what I mean? He prefers to go out and run his own race.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And you see it with him. He's like a mathematician on the fucking bike, right?
Right.
He's like, I need.
He doesn't push for that flat out speed that he used to.
Exactly. But where he is now is right. He is in that position, in my view, and people can disagree with me on it. Like, but I think he is in the position that he can just say, I can take a risk, and if I crash, I'm in second place anyway. I have nothing to lose. Where Martin finds himself now in brand new ground, coming into a championship ending session, but he's now the one being hunted.
Yes.
Right. So now he's dealing with the squeaky bum problem of
squeaky bum.
I have this championship lead. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's closing it down, or I can't make a mistake, or I can't give him any of this reason or thing to I can't give over the lead. So he's going to find himself now riding with a conscience, let's just call it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's just going to be a really, really interesting run-in over the course of the next 2 weeks of Martin finding himself in a space of a land that he's never been, and then Pecco is kind of going to be in a position where he was in 2022, where he was hunting down Fabio Quartararo until a couple of races to go, and then he got the lead. Do you know what I mean? So I think this is going to be mentally, it's going to be advantage Pecco in my mind, and that's the way kind of where I'm leaning. So Jorge has to come out in Australia, which is a Marc Marquez circuit, by the way, and he's going to have to blow them all away. Do you know what I mean? So it's a massive pressure on him, in my view, that he has to survive. So I don't know, and it's one of those things that I found very hard. I've asked myself the question a few times, and say 3 out of the 4 times I've asked myself, I've always landed on Pecco for those reasons. But it's not really, and I've said Pecco and then thought, why have I said Pecco, if you know what I mean? So it's like, what's your first instinct tell you? But I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. But I always do kind of wonder why, like, if you look at the last 5 weekends of the championship, we have 4 races. And it's creating a pressure cooker, but it's also creating that problem of, like, you have to now ride within yourself, because if you don't and you crash, your championship could be over straight away. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. The closer we come to the edge, the less mistakes you can make.
But you see, unfortunately where they are right now, though, is like every single one of those riders are on the complete edge. Do you know what I mean? They're like, to go a second or 0.2 or 0.3 of a second faster than any of them, you're risking it all.
Yeah,
completely. So
I've never seen it this close. This close before. It hasn't been this close before. Never.
Yeah.
Never has it been this close from, say, pole position to 10th, whatever. It's never been this close ever.
No.
I me. I like high tech and high speed and balls to the wall.
Yeah, but I think it's just
rest in a hearty ale and let no man stand before me.
Yeah, but look, I think for me, it just shows you that, with them all being in there, the difference between victory and floor is tiny now. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I think I just think it was just one of the things that I have in my own mind, is like, it's really going to be a tight one going into the season. Martin, even though he's going to say, I'm not feeling the pressure, like, Martin is under savage pressure now with Pecco closing down the gap. If he was going in here with like 15 or 16 points of a gap, he'd be in a little bit more of a comfortable state. But I think it'll be pretty interesting. But anyway, speaking of next weekend's race, who is your race winner for Friday? Or sorry, who's your race winner Saturday and Sunday?
I gotta go with Martin. I think he's gonna keep pushing, and as long as he doesn't go down, he's the fastest guy on the track. I don't think Pecco has it in him to outrun Martin. Just the fifth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually think Marquez sprint Pecco will do the race. And like, you have to remember, this race on Sunday will be, it's not a survival race, but it's a more strategic race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those tires are going to burn out, right?
Yeah. So like, the only racetrack where they had stop and go race without rain. Remember?
Yeah, but remember, Martin used the soft tire, and he was short by 1 lap last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like this is all about managing the tires and managing your slip and spin and all of this stuff, which could come into a favor for Marc Marquez as well. And gone back to the old flywheel, which is less aggressive coming off the corners, he may be able to save his tires that bit more. You have Enier Bastianini as well, who was definitely going to be hungry for one last win before he gets off the Ducati. So I think it will be very, very interesting race weekend.
Oh, and I have a trick for the anybody who owns a 1098 and 1198. Instead of switching out the for a lighter flywheel on a 1098 or 1198, if you do that, you have to go into the corner. It doesn't have enough inertia in the engine. So you have to keep on the throttle even if you're at apex. You know what I'm saying? Like in a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
With the best of both worlds, change the clutch hub out, which goes. One is like 10, like the steel one is like 10 pounds, and it goes down to like 1 pound with the billet aluminum. But it doesn't turn very fast, right? So, but it keeps enough inertia in there to go through corners just like you normally would. You don't notice it. Right, you have to you can go completely shut the throttle down and still have enough inertia to go through because you kept your original flywheel. But when you get on the gas, you have less weight you're turning, and it gives you more acceleration. It's like free acceleration.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Not that I have a Ducati.
Huh?
Not that I have a Ducati. Anyway. On that bombshell, we'll wrap it up for today, and we will see everyone after the Australian Grand Prix next weekend.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Ciao for now.